All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. It's a true privilege. If you don't mind, I'd like for each of you to just take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. If you don't mind, Mr. Gaio, we're going to start with you.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Michael Gaio. I'm an entrepreneur, an educator, and an innovator, and I'm the founder and CEO of Mythic Systems. And I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs and businesses leverage artificial intelligence and emerging technologies to boost productivity, realize potential, and achieve health, wealth, and freedom. And I'm really glad to be here today. I love the topic of health and wellness, and the mix of health with information technologies is something I'm very passionate about.
Excellent. Jake, if you don't mind, sir, a little bit about yourself, please.
Of course. I'm Jake Posner. I'm an engineering and product leader in reality labs at Meta, where we're blurring the lines between physical and digital reality. My specialty is on the user-facing portion of the product, building the navigational and input experiences that are core to the operating system for the Quest line of devices.
Fantastic. And then Mr. Benzo.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michael Benso. I'm super excited to be on this talk today because I think I'm going to pick up some things from both Michael Gao and Jake. My business is BizOps. I'm the co-founder of BizOps Software. It's for fitness businesses, and I've owned several gym locations across 5 different states. And really, my aim is to focus on Web3 development for our software. I've developed 3 NFT projects off of the Ethereum blockchain, and had a successful launch on one of them, selling over 11,000 NFTs, and have gotten into DAOs and all kinds of other stuff. So I think this topic is going to be pretty fun today.
Yeah, I've had the honor to hear all three of you speak very intelligently about your scopes and this broader topic, and I think our audience is really going to get a lot from today. So again, I thank you all for being here. So again, Mr. Guy, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll just go from there. So Jake, Michael, please kick in whenever you feel like it. But as I'm confident this group is well aware, it's very difficult for business owners and operators to keep up with all these rapid advances and innovations in technology, right? It feels like every day there's this new breakthrough in AI, AR, neuroscience, right? I'd like to start by asking each of you, if you were the chief technology officer of a fitness business today, where would you be making your strategic capital spend bets in the next 3 to 5 years? And again, Mr. Guy, I'd like to start with you.
Sure. Yeah. So, if I was a CTO in a fitness and business, or excuse me, if I was a CTO in a fitness business, I would be investing both attention and resources primarily into 4 areas, and that would be artificial intelligence and automation, and Internet of Tech, or excuse me, the Internet of Things, wearable technology, AI-driven personalization, and augmented reality. And so, primarily though, if I was a CTO of a fitness business, primarily I'd be focusing on artificial intelligence and automation, hands down. I think every business, not just fitness businesses, can greatly benefit by establishing better automation systems, mainly in general business operations. What I mean here is that most businesses today are already automating business operations in areas like what we're all familiar with. We're using email for internal communications. We take that for granted these days. We sometimes use chat bots or virtual voice assistants for customer service automation, and we use automated workflows and social media management tools for email marketing and social media, and many other areas. We're already really using automation technology, but now, and I really mean since last year and now, we're seeing recent developments in artificial intelligence that are really significant, and these are things like large language models and chat GTP and autonomous agent platforms. With these kinds of new breakthroughs, there are new levels of efficiency and efficacy that can be realized by businesses who implement these systems. Areas like just generally boosting productivity. and making smarter and faster decision making in business. That's a really key one. I've got a lot of influence from. Also in personalization and customer experience, marketing and sales, innovation and product development, addressing business challenges, and growing and scaling. These are all areas that AI, artificial intelligence, is really applicable at. In all honesty, AI powered businesses are the future. What's happening right now with AI is similar in opportunity as to what we've already seen with business integration of websites in the past, and mobile apps, and social media. But in this case, I see AI as both broad and deep in its technology transformation. And in my opinion, I think other people share the same view. I think AI will have a much greater impact on human culture and business, more so than what we've already seen with internet, mobile apps, and social media combined. So that's why I say that CTOs should be looking into AI automation, primarily, and then these other areas too. I could speak more on these other areas, but maybe I'll give someone else a chance.
No, it's very well said. And then, Mr. Benso, if you don't mind, I'm going to throw it to you. The same question. Again, you're now the chief technology officer of a large fitness business operation. With the rapid innovation, how do you decide how to deploy capital, or do you? Right? It's such an interesting topic. So I'd like to just hear again. This is your gauntlet now. How do you spend your money on tomorrow's innovation?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, you're asking a guy who's in the software space right now, developing for fitness businesses. And before this meeting, I actually had a roundtable with a founders group, a small hand-selected group of gym owners, so that way they could kind of lead the charge on the list. I mean, we had like 28 different items of what they want to see developed. And to Michael Gaio's point, it's really what they're looking for is automation. And I think a big component of this is helping business owners who are in that fitness space understand specifically what's happening. I think they hear about it. It's mainstream media. They listen to it, but getting into the nitty-gritty details of how this stuff is actually functioning and how it can really benefit your business, those are the things that a lot of gym owners and operators don't quite know yet. And what's the actual application for these tools? So I'll give you a couple examples. Like Step-In, for example, is a product that's been launched, and you can track. It's a Web3 technology. You can track what you're doing as far as running or moving. It's your steps, and you get tokens based on this. So they are tokens on the blockchain. Those tokens then, based on how many rewards you're getting, you can go ahead and trade those in on a decentralized exchange and actually make money for it. So that's one example on how you incentivize your customer base to actually get involved in spending time in your fitness facility. And then looking at things that are, in the AI space, just like Mr. Gaio had pointed out, we're at a point where this whole thing is moving so fast. You talk about Sam Altman and what he's done with Chat GPT. It's moving, and it's moving at such a fast rate that a lot of these business owners are using it for their marketing tools and how, writing emails. But then you get into a point where they're writing these things and using AI language to spit out. Really, it's just almost garbage, because all of the information is recognizable as an AI context. And so you have to be careful on how you're using it and how other consumers are seeing it. But the same token, utilizing that AI model, and then you look at what Sam Altman's doing with WorldCoin and the Orb, which is a tool to identify you and I as actual human beings, and we get tokens or coins for that. And that's blowing up. It's not here in the US, but it's global right now, and a lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon. So, as far as being a CTO and being in an organization where you have to kind of look down this hole and see what's on the other end, I think you just have to be aware of what's coming, because fitness businesses, because they're not aware of it, they're not adopting it so fast. You're going to see a lot of these things being adopted in mainstream first. And once it's adopted in mainstream, then you're going to start seeing a lot of this, a lot of these things being adopted in other fitness clubs, such as that AI tool or an application that's on Web3 like StepIn to get tokens and get paid for it. So I really think that's where you need to be spending your time.
Yeah, no, I think you both hit it. I think, with all the different pieces of AI, AR makes sense. Mr. Posner, I propose the same question to you. You're this chief technology officer. You've got X amount of dollars to deploy to put our business in the right position for the future. Where are you deploying your capital, sir?
So it's a really good question. I think both Mr. Gaio and Benso made great points that I would touch on a little bit, but I think what I'm going to focus on is in my area of expertise when it comes to the product and innovation side and what I would focus on as CTO. I think the two areas that I would focus on that were touched on already were not only augmented reality, but combining virtual and mixed reality in there as well. And then also how AI and the convergence of these technologies can be applied to your business. So the first thing that I would do would be deploying people in my organization to both understand and then investigate how to apply these technologies to our current offerings and see if it spins out any new products or offerings based on our investigation. That's kind of the lens that I would approach as a first step. But the two areas that I would look into in terms of the technology themselves. So there's full body tracking for AR and VR and mixed reality. And as Apple has put it recently with their Vision Pro, spatial computing. And I think over these next couple of years, you're going to see a lot more fitness use cases out of these devices, whether they're social context or you at home, like I do almost every day, playing ping pong and boxing by myself in VR or against other people on the other side of the planet. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity to enhance the current offerings that might be limited by physical space by integrating these technologies and expanding the sphere that people can connect. The other side of things that I would bring up around AI, as both the other guests mentioned, I would say AI for automation, but then there's also things like AI just to analyze complex data and see patterns that might have taken a lot more time for regular humans to actually dig through. So I would say if you can apply that lens to your business and see what is currently past the capability of one person augmenting themselves with AI, I think that's how you really unlock new revenue streams, new products, and just new perspectives in your business.
Very cool. Yeah, I think you're all spot on. I just prior to this call, I was on with another company that I'll leave nameless, as opposed to giving them a free sponsorship, but they do a lot with AI and chatbots and kind of trying to convert leads down the funnel to appointments. And then once it gets to a specific point, it dumps into a real live person. But until then, it would very well pass the Turing test. You'd have no idea you weren't talking to Lisa at the JCC, which is great. So then I'm going to jump into my second question. And Mr. Benz, I'm going to start with you because I happened to meet you at this very event that I'm going to quote here. So in the last year, I had the honor of being a speaker at a big club industry executive event with about 300 CEOs. And while on stage, I had asked for an unofficial show of hands on who specifically had CTOs in their businesses. And I think maybe 3 of the 300 people had raised their hands. And what is really the trend right now is that everyone recognizes that technology is something that's really important to your business and your infrastructure, but it's something they just add on to the chief operating officers or the chief financial officer or the associate executive, right? It's just another piece of some of the job that's very small that you revisit on a quarterly, annual basis, right? So then my question to you, and again, I'll start with Mr. Benzo, is in your opinion, do you think perhaps there's a good time to start bringing on CTOs, or do you still believe that this technology is at a stage where bringing on $100,000 chief technology officer doesn't make sense because 6 months from now we might be in a different place anyways? So again, what's your thoughts on that dedicated position as opposed to somebody just being slopped onto their financial officer role?
Sure. So first off, I want to segment that into 2 different categories of fitness businesses. One would be your small operator who might have 5 locations or 10 locations. So maybe they've got a regional business. when you start getting enough locations, you might actually have the budgetary needs or the budgetary availability to go ahead and hire somebody full time. But if you're relatively small, you probably want to see if you can outsource some kind of CTO help, because you do need to be engaged in the sense of what's up and coming. A lot of the conversations our sales team is having right now, when they have conversations with gym owners and they're providing demos on our software, is that they're almost behind in the times that these gym owners are. And there's a lot of technology upgrades that they need. And if you're a business owner and you're in that seat, it's great to have people on your team that understand tech and understand how to navigate social media and how to get customers in your door and retain them. But one of the biggest challenges you're going to face if you're not doing the work today is the change and shift in technology that's happening very, very quickly. So if you're a large organization, like 100 plus clubs, or you're a franchise, without a doubt, you have to have a CTO on your team. If you don't have a CTO, I think you're missing the boat big time. And your CTO really needs to be spending their time in different areas. They need to spend a little bit of time, I'd say at least 30, 40% of their time educating themselves on a lot of these new areas, a lot of things that are going on, and then spend the rest of their time on supporting the business in their development role. That's just my opinion, of course.
No, fantastic. I wish I would have thought of that in the question. You're right. Outsourcing your technology is a fantastic idea as a consultant. So, Jake, if you don't mind, I'd like to throw the same question to you. I mean, great point. If I have 3, 4, 5 clubs, I might not have the revenue to support a dedicated role. But does that mean I just give it to the general manager of the facility, or do I, as Mr. Benso said, outsource it? Or is it something that maybe is just too early to really deploy thought leadership here? And please, Mr. Posner.
So I would agree with Mr. Benso in terms of someone needs to be paying attention to it, whether that's a full-time CTO, a consultant, if you have the general manager of the business that has an eye for product and technology and integrating into the business. As long as it's being taken care of at the right scale for your business, I think that's okay. But once you get to that sizable scale where you have 100 locations, you are a regional manager and overseeing a bunch of regions, maybe outside the US as well, I think it's crucial. The way that I see it in terms of when you need a CTO, I would say the age-old thing of yesterday. I think technology is moving faster than we've ever anticipated. I think it used to be new breakthroughs would be every few years. Then it would be like every year and a half, 2 years. Now it's every 3 to 6 months. Someone is doing something in some part of the world that's going to change your business and the way that people want to interact with your business. And if you don't have someone that's at least 50 to 75% of their focus, you're going to fall behind. And I think that that's what's key is if you want to keep up, let alone get ahead, you need someone dedicated to that role. So I would say the when is as soon as possible, as long as you can justify it for the size of your business. The why that I would touch on is similar to when Google Glass came out. Nobody wanted a camera on their face. But if you think about now, with the products that are in the market, the companies that are joining the fray, people say you don't want a camera on your face, but if you look at any sporting event or any concert, what are people doing in the crowd? They are holding up their phone and distracting everybody and blocking the view. So why wouldn't we want to do the same thing, but in a nice, comfortable, sleek form factor and have it on your face? Like, yes, there's all these concerns to be aware of and privacy and everything else that comes along with it. But I think that if people really had a pulse on what is going on in society and had a good lens to look through, you would realize that you would have a huge gap in your business if you don't have a CPO, a CIO, like innovation officer, or a CTO full-time dedicated to trying to stay ahead of your competitors and go to where the puck is rather than skating to where it was.
That's, again, very well said, right? Technology not only is something that we should at least have the pulse of, but it could be a strategic advantage in your business compared to competitors. So then, Mr. Gaio, if you don't mind me asking you, same thing. Are you bringing on a CTO yesterday, or are you outsourcing expertise? Yeah. What would you do right now if you were in charge of that organization, sir?
Well, yeah, I have to say that, hearing your experience with asking those 300 entrepreneurs and understanding that so few of them actually had CTOs is really surprising to me. And I can see how maybe those companies were surviving already, but I couldn't see those people surviving over this next decade. I think a CTO is quite essential. There's a quote from Brian Chesky, the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb. He said, "Every company is a technology company." What he means is that in today's technology accelerated world, tech has become an integral part of running and growing any successful business. And so, businesses need to stay up to date and be adaptable and innovative to keep up in this evolving landscape. So, this has already largely been the case for the last decade or so, but I think it's even more going to be the case over this next 10 years. And, because the rate of technological change is accelerating exponentially. And that's a key word there, exponential. And I think a lot of people really underestimate what this means. Exponentiality is like compounding the snowball effect, where each breakthrough in technology builds upon the previous one. And so, we're creating these constant cycles of faster and more transformative technological developments. And, most of this development, they're relevant to optimizing businesses. So I see it as essential to have, like these guys are saying too, to have at least a person on board the company who's responsible for overseeing the strategy, the vision, and the execution of technology. In the least, a CEO can help ensure that the business stays relevant, and more, perhaps, it can increase the chances of them actually leading in the health and fitness field.
Fantastic. Well said, gentlemen. Okay, so moving on to our third question, and Mr. Benso, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. Last year, a luxury fitness chain named Equinox began accepting cryptocurrency as payment. So in your opinions, is cryptocurrency finally at this place where business owners and operators should consider accepting things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or some other cryptocurrency for payment? Or are we still ways away as far as bringing that into a legitimate payment system to complement the fiat system?
Yeah, I don't think we're too far away. And the reason why I say that is last year I was working with a group on developing an NFT for their brand. And the other thing that Equinox, for example, they're positioned quite well. They're in New York City. For them to be the company that's, waving the flag saying, hey, we're accepting cryptocurrency now. NFT NYC is one of the biggest events that happens every year, and they're right in the center of it. So you look at that and you go, it was probably if it wasn't just for marketing, like a marketing play for them, in general, it was probably a good move. You look at this across the scale, and I would say probably 80% of the gyms, if we're looking at the Pareto principle, 80% of the gyms probably don't even know how to create a wallet or access a wallet if you're a gym owner, and what that would mean. But to your point about getting away from standardized fiat, you look at WorldCoin. I was mentioning that earlier. Sam Altman and his partner, they created WorldCoin and the Orb, which is a way to hopefully transact across the globe. And it's giving Ethereum a run for its money. At least it was a few days ago. So you look at those things, and the reality is we've gone from trading shillings to trading paper money to trading via credit cards or plastic. And now we're in this digital age where you can just tap your phone to pay. If that's the case, the obvious next step is to allow payments in a currency format that's not necessarily tied to a bank account. And more banks are pushing kind of away from a decentralized position. But there's a lot of groups out there that are doing it, where there's a bank out of Wyoming that's pushing forward for decentralization and allowing the people to have control over how money is distributed. And I think that's going to happen because we've seen enough economic shifts where things are up and down. And when you look at other countries that are having a lot of turmoil in their economies and shambles, why not have Ethereum or Bitcoin or WorldCoin for that matter?
Well said. So, Mr. Gaio, same question. Are cryptocurrencies finally at a place that they're real serious contenders, or do you think we're still a ways off from integrating them into how we do business today?
It's a great question and a complex one. I've been tracking the Web3 cryptocurrency space for about its entire duration for about 10 years now. And, I've gone from seeing it go from the Wild West stage of people thinking it was just another fad coming along to now where I think we're kind of coming out of this innovation phase where we've seen the emergence of applications like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and DeFi and decentralized autonomous organizations and NFTs all growing off of blockchain. And my sense is that now where we're at is we're entering this new phase of where most of the major innovation is generally complete, and we're starting to see more of mass adoption and application directly into culture and society. And like Michael's saying too, we're seeing the signs of it with this project like WorldCoin. And also, not a lot of people know that just this month, this is July of 2023, the Federal Reserve is now launching I think it's called the Fed Now service. And I'm not fully certain that that's based on blockchain, but I certainly know that service, which is going to allow for banks and credit unions to allow much faster instant transfers 24/7 between businesses and individuals. They're probably using blockchain. And if they're not, they're definitely inspired, and they know what kind of major transformation blockchain is about to make. And so, the point is that this new form of monetary exchange is definitely arriving. I think we're right there on the cusp of it. How it's actually going to show up exactly, what platform to use, and how certain use cases of how NFTs might be applicable to your business or not, still has to be seen. But it would certainly be something I would think that would recommend a CTO or a technology leader within a company to really start paying attention to.
That's a really well said point too, as well. Maybe cryptocurrency in its form, like you said, there's various iterations with Fed Now and things like that. So it's not a matter really of if, it's when. So then, Jake, if you don't mind, I'd like to throw it to you. For your standard mom and pop business, and when this is very specifically a fitness business, but businesses in general, should they be planting seeds in allowing for cryptocurrency now? Or do you think it's just still not a mature enough stage where they should really be putting mind share behind this until X, Y, Z in the future?
So I think to touch on what they both mentioned, it's almost like in terms of when, it's like a chicken or the egg problem, where, as Mr. Benso mentioned, maybe 80% of gym owners don't know how to integrate with cryptocurrency yet. And that is probably true for the consumers as well. But if you provide more opportunities for people to use the cryptocurrency, and more people that currently are aware then spread the word to other people, that increases the number of consumers that use cryptocurrency, then by being a business owner that is technology forward, like Equinox, for example, then you're showing that there's more opportunity for people to use it as mass consumers, and then more mass consumers will use it. And then you get into a flywheel of much more attention being given. As Mr. Gaio mentioned, I think you can't ignore it. I don't think you need to necessarily immediately provide a way for people to use cryptocurrency for your business. But if you're not preparing for it, and you're not coming up with a strategy for maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years that it becomes available, that is yet again what we talked about, where you might fall behind, where just because these other competitors to Equinox are not implementing it right now in the public, there's no guarantee that they aren't currently working on it and it'll be released 12 or 18 months from now. So I would say the when is difficult depending on the size of your business, but it's inevitable, is my take. The one extra thing that I would provide, being a gamer and playing a lot of video games, the Web3 gaming industry is pretty nascent right now, and a lot of big gaming companies aren't as interested to integrate. But I do know that there's a lot of rumors and leaks coming out that these major studios are building Web3 games, where you will be able to own the in-game assets. You won't just buy an operator or a skin on Call of Duty and lose it when it goes to the next game. It'll be transferable and interoperable, so you can bring it to the next game, and then you can sell it for real money and take that money out of the game. There are rumors that GTA 5 will have a connection to real world currency, and how you might do that could be cryptocurrency or some other way. But there's the signs are there, the writing's on the wall, that if you are ignoring it, you're going to fall behind. So it might not be now, but it's definitely not never.
Yeah, the gist I get is it's not an if, it's a win. So I concur with everything you gentlemen said. So, well, two last questions, and we'll go in reverse order, starting with Jake. If our listeners come out of this podcast intrigued and excited, what is the one piece of actionable advice you'd give them? They leave here and Google this, go here, buy this piece of equipment. What is the one thing they should start with, sir?
So I think for me, it's almost like a mindset. I would say remember that the journey of learning never ends. And with how quick our society is pushing forward, and we're basically in the age of exponential innovation, as some of the other guests have mentioned, you really need to have a curious mind as a business leader, whether you're in product, business, finance, technology, whatever your role. And if you're not constantly looking forward and surrounding yourself with advisors that can arm you with that information, then you're going to end up not being as competitive as you would like to be. So I would say keeping a learning mindset, being very curious about what's coming and how it could impact your business or your customers and how to serve them. That's the way I would look at it.
Perfect. Mr. Gaio, sir. One piece of actionable advice. I left this podcast and I should go do this now.
Yeah, I want to say two things. I want to say, first of all, just a really simple model I use for kind of understanding what's coming. Where we've some of us may have heard this phrase of the metaverse. The metaverse might be arriving, and the way I think of the metaverse and what the metaverse is the combination of these three things: artificial intelligence, Web3 and cryptocurrency, and augmented reality and virtual reality. And these things coming together, I think, is going to create what this kind of like new internet-like emergence will be, called the metaverse. So with that said, this is what I'm focused on, both as a person and as a business leader. If you want to find out more about me, you can go to gaio.ai, or my business website is mythicsystems.com. And there you can join my weekly AI newsletter. And also on mythicsystems.com, there's a guides section where you can find information graphics and guides that help people kind of orient to what's happening with artificial intelligence and these emerging technologies in this exponential age.
Fantastic. And I would be remiss to mention, the way I met, Mr. Gaio and Jake is through this photorealistic metaverse called Wilder World, and what they're putting together is just second to none. And I have no doubt that we'll all be transacting business in some variation of that sometime in the future. So, Mr. Benso, if you don't mind, same question. I'm excited. This is awesome. You gentlemen have convinced me I need to move. What's the very first step?
Yeah, so actionable items for today. It's a little far removed from kind of our conversation. Not so much so, but if you're listening to this, you're obviously, probably in the fitness world or in the fitness space. And I would recommend two things for you. Number one, immediately go take a look at what Web3 blockchain is and look at some of the different cryptocurrencies that exist in the market, specifically WorldCoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, because they're having a big impact. You've probably heard of them, but really pay attention to it and look at how you can transact with those. The second thing that I would recommend, if you haven't heard it on some other podcast, because if you're a podcast listener, you probably listen to other podcasts other than just this one, would be go out and look at Jasper.ai and ChatGPT. Jasper has a paid version, ChatGPT has a free version and a paid version, and utilize that for your marketing efforts or just some of the efforts that you have going on a daily basis at your business to try and reduce the amount of workload that you have by enlisting those tools, that AI tool, to help you write content for social media, to help you write content or write your emails. And if you're having trouble segmenting your list of emails, you can reach out to me as well, and I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, so that's how I'd like to end the show. I mean, I know I'm very excited about it, and there was so much demand for a show like this, that there's going to be a plethora of questions. So, Mr. Benzo, if you don't mind, if listeners would like to get in contact with you, what's the best website, email address, social platform to engage with you on?
Sure. Yeah, I live by my calendar, and my emails are always going off on my phone, my computer. So Benso, Benso at bizops.com. And that's BUZOPS, just one Z, bizops.com. You can email me there, or you can go to our website at bizops.com, BUZOPS, and you can find some information there about our business. And that's probably the best way to connect. I'd be happy to help with anything that you have questions regarding how to get your business kind of moving with new technology.
Fantastic. Mr. Gaio, same question. If you don't mind touching back on again, what's the best way to reach you? Website, social, and email, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I recommend going to Gaio.ai. That's GAIO.ai. And again, that's Gaio's got AI in it. That's my last name. But from there, you can find all my social links. I prefer mostly Twitter. Reach out to me on Twitter or go to mythicsystems.com and you can contact me there.
Fantastic. And then Jake, if you don't mind, socials, email address, the listeners really would like to get in touch with you. Please, sir.
Yeah, you got it. When it comes to reaching out to me, you can go to my website, jakeposner.com, or you could find me on LinkedIn. That's where I do a lot of my communication professionally. And if you're looking for an advisor on new technology or anything else for your business, just shoot me an email at hello@jakeposner.com as well.
Fantastic, gentlemen. On behalf of the listeners and the Fitness Business Podcast family, I can't thank you enough for giving so freely today. It's been great. Thank you, gentlemen.